Hello, this is Mornings with Michael for informational and educational purposes only. Recording this a little later at night. I've done a little research, so I just wanted to share that with you. First, let's go to our map. It's not quite ready, I guess. Let me pull it up. S&P 500 map. Let's share the screen. Here we go. How the day finished. It was amazing that the big companies moved up in style today, because I'll show you a little later the yield on the 10-year treasuries just moved up amazingly, shot up like a rocket. And almost everything else is down. Utilities kind of look like they were crashing. We'll take a look at their ETF, but you can see utilities down here all in red. Materials, energy, industrials, almost everything except those big techs went down in style today. So we'll stop that share. If you don't like things going down, I show this every day. And where is our PDF? Here it is. The annuity, and with the yields on the interest rates up so high, this annuity is paying about 40% bonus now. That's what I'm told. 40% bonus, and therein lies how it beats the index investing by about 5% per year. They give you a big bonus and you never lose money. How do you like that? I like those apples, Mr. Goldstone. And let's move on. Let's bring up our chart reader. Before we move on to the news, let's just take a look at the 10-year yield. It's at almost 4.7, 4.683. It pulled back for 2 days and it just jumped up like a rocket today. So those annuity companies are grabbing these yields on the bonds. So they're able to give you up to 40% bonus when you open a new account. So that's how they do it. And we'll stop and take a look at what's happening in the news. Without further ado, first, Tesla released an updated version of its Model Y in China with minor changes to the vehicle. Vehicle's interior and exterior. The changes include a new wheel design, according to a post by Tesla's official's WeChat account. The price for the Model Y, the company's global bestseller, was in change at 263,900 won, or $36,146. The Li Auto, LI, let's take a look at Tesla, came out with the vehicles that it delivered today. It was a little less than estimated, but the stock initially sold off a little bit, but then it popped back up. We'll take a look at those numbers, and the numbers of vehicles Rivian delivered kind of astounded estimates. And we can take a look at they pulled back a little bit. They were up in the morning, but they pulled back. We'll look at those numbers a little later. Li Auto said it delivered 36,060 vehicles in September 2023. I guess that was less than what people expected, an increase of 212.7% year over year, setting a new monthly record. Quarter deliveries to 105,108 in the third quarter, up 296.3% year over year. NIO, another Chinese EV manufacturer, said it delivered 15,641 vehicles in September, increasing by 43.8% year over year. And it almost looks like they're working on a lower cup with handle, maybe a bottoming base. Xpeng, their stock actually looks a little better. Said in September had deliveries of 15,310, representing a 12% increase over a prior month, an 81% increase year over year. And then finally, look at Clorox, upgraded to buy from neutral at Davidson, DA Davidson. Stock didn't do much. It moved yesterday. I believe that news came out yesterday, not today. OPEC will hold a virtual JMMC meeting on Wednesday. U.S. oil futures, you can take a look at those. Oil prices kind of crashed as well, just like utilities. Take a look at utilities. Look at that. That's not a falling knife you want to catch. On to FedEx. FedEx upgraded to positive from neutral at Susquehanna. Had a little bit of a bounce, not much, 0.07%. Norfolk Southern downgraded to neutral from buy at Bank of America. And we got a big gap down, and then it recovered at the end of the day. Solar Edge downgraded to equal weight from overweight at Barclays, and that gap down as well. And U.S. Steel upgraded to overweight from equal weight at Morgan Stanley, and it popped into the buy zone because of that. You can see over here in the blue. Wells Fargo Company is in the news, announced late Friday it had sold to a group of leading investors approximately $2 billion of private equity investments in certain Norwest Equity Partners and Norwest Mezzanine Partners funds. Federal student loan payments returned this month for more than 40 million Americans with the end of the pandemic pause and more than 3-year break from payments. There could be a messy return for borrowers who collectively owe more than $1 trillion in loan debt. On to healthcare, Smile Direct Club shares tumble after voluntarily filing for Chapter 11 protection in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court of Southern District of Texas as it plans to implement comprehensive recapitulation transaction. And Syndex shares rose after the company said it would announce results of its clinical trial October 2nd for Revumenib. They were down 7% today. So it rose yesterday, down 7% today. Apple said it will fix app software problems blamed for making iPhone 15 models too hot to handle after blaming a software bug and other issues tied to popular apps such as Instagram and Uber for causing its recently released iPhone 15 models to heat up. On to Microsoft. So Apple is up slightly today, 1.5%. Microsoft up about close to 2%, was added to Q4 2023 tactical ideas list at Wells Fargo with a $400 price target. Well, it's at $300 and $21. That's quite a move. Early enthusiasm around AI and Azure reacceleration settles a bit of. The firm now sees a favorite path to forming ahead and improving ROI model trajectory. And finally, we're going to look at Toast. Downgraded to neutral from buy. Mizuzu cut target to 16 from 30. Gap down quite a bit at the open and then been recovered most of the day. Toast is used by most of the restaurants and platform hardware and software solutions. So maybe the restaurant group isn't doing as well as they had hoped. Let's see if I can bring up the news on Rivian. Let me just pause for a second so I can find that. So Rivian surprised Wall Street Monday, reporting better than expected third quarter vehicle deliveries. The electric vehicle startup looks to ramp up production on its way to profitability. Rivian shares fell on Monday afternoon, trading below an early entry. Rivian produced 16,304 vehicles and delivered 15,564 vehicles in the third quarter. Company reported early Monday. California-based operation announced that it believes it will reach its goal of 52,000 in annual production in 2023. Analyst consensus predicted Rivian quarter three deliveries would be about 14,000, according to FactSet. Rivian delivered 6,584 units in quarter three. The company topped estimates for its second quarter delivery report in early July. The EV startup delivered 12,640 vehicles in quarter two, with Wall Street estimates at 11,000. So they continue to beat numbers, which is very positive. And so Ben Callow designated Rivian stock as a bullish fresh pick ahead of third quarter deliveries on expectation Rivian would beat the consensus view, which they did. So that's our news on Rivian. And now that let's look at a couple more ETFs here. Our communications for Google and Meta, Facebook are in. Looks like it's working on a base on base formation. Just holding below the numbers here. Moved up pretty good on good volume today. So I think the yield is just keeping this down. Let's look at software. Software is trending up slightly as well. Volume's not quite as good. And in technology, looks very similar to software where the volume was a little better. XME is falling. And XHB housing, I would think it was falling with the yield moving up as much as it did. And our builders falling as well. Let's look at the dollar. Wow, look at that gap up. The dollar is one of the strongest assets next to the yields that you'll ever find. This is why gold is gapping down, really suffering here. Was up near 200 not too long ago, 191. What did silver do? Gapping down as well. Huge gap down. Question is this a buying opportunity? With all of the silver being used in battery production. AJ Monte, who's a big silver king, but he had sold his silver up around here, about 5% of it, and now he's bought back, I believe, 5 to 10% at these numbers. So do your own education. And let's see, look at copper. Copper is falling. Is that really the, looks more like the weekly, that's a daily. Southern Copper, not as bad, falls to the 200-day line. And FCX, not as bad, but it did gap down and it's under all its moving averages. So let's take a look what where professional money managers were moving their money. Pet IQ. Wow, look at that move. Huge volume. Definitely breaking out of a consolidation. Gapping up. Just a strong, strong move. NVO continues to be in the news. Bounces from its 50-day moving average after a little pullback here. Pretty huge volume. Just see if can get a continuation. MicroStrategy, which has invested a lot in Bitcoin, had a bit of a bounce and then sold off towards the end. Pretty big volume. Acadia Pharmaceuticals, not sure why this is on the list. It's had a big sell-off, had a little bit of a bounce today. Consolidated Water. This is always in them. This is definitely a leading issue. Look at all these buys over here. One big sell, but this continues up. Had a little bit of a consolidation here on lower volume, which you want to see. You want to see high volume as it moves up. Engaged in development and operations of seawater desalination. Zscaler. Moving up. So let me just make it official. Zscaler and CrowdStrike are my two favorite in the computer software security area. They look very similar. CrowdStrike is actually breaking out here in a high yield environment, which is pretty amazing. So we'll just have to see if Zscaler can clear this congestion here. Like I've said in the past, stocks will rally up to a point and then it may take 3 times to break out. So here's this one, I guess you could group this together. 2 and 3. Will this move higher? Can just look at the numbers. 2024, 25% earnings increase. 26 in 2025. This year, up 156% in the latest quarter. Sales up 43%. Their margins are above the 17% you want to look for, 22.2%. Caesar, looks like a dead cat bounce to me. And finally, WW Granger. Volume was up, but not much movement. I believe there's one other. Next Era Energy Partners. Well, this is on the downside, down about 17% today. This is affiliated with them. Generation, transmission, distribution of electricity. Kind of fits in line with utilities just diving today. Vesco Bank down 2.5%. Brookfield Renewable Partners down pretty big. 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, a number of sells, and look at all this volume. That's not something you'd like to see. NEMI Holdings, private mortgage insurance, down about 2.3%. And this Victory Motors, I just wanted to doesn't want to come up. Let me see if it is under VM. I have it right over on this other chart. VFS it is. So let's go back. What goes up too fast comes down pretty fast. So just take a look at this. This is kind of take the money and run fast. It just keeps going down more and more every day. I guess the rumor of it coming over here making vehicles has run out of power. NiSource in the utilities, just being taken down with the utilities. I think it may have something to do with the yield. Arch in the coal group, gap down pretty big today. Did recover nicely, but it's still missing all of this gap. And finally, EVRG. Also, transmission of electricity, 1.7 million customers. All the utilities went down in style today. So there we have it. Here's some of the stocks that are holding up well with the rising yield. And if they can hold up in this type of environment, once the pressure is lifted, I think they're going to really take off. Every time Facebook Meta sells off, somebody comes right back and buys it. So at the end of the day, it still hovers around the 300 mark. Today it went up 2.2%, up 661. This one does, well, this is the one I wanted to look at. CrowdStrike doesn't quite have the blue dot yet over here, but it is moving into higher area. And if we take a look at the relative strength line, it has already moved into higher ground, even though it doesn't have the blue dot. This is, look at, in 2024, 84% estimate earnings increase. Last quarter was up 106%. Previous quarter was 84. Previous quarter is 57. So it just keeps rising. And what is, so those are the two issues that, and even though bad information comes out, Tesla is still kind of hanging around. Looks like it's working on a cup with a handle here. So I'd keep looking over here. And also Rivian. It's not quite a double bottom, but I believe it's working on the right side of its base. And I think if you look back, IPO went up to 90. I think there's a lot of room here. I would just keep looking. Continues to beat numbers on its vehicle deliveries. And you see if there is one other that I'd like to point out. In NVIDIA, take a look at NVIDIA. It's really the king of AI. Looks like it's working on this consolidation, maybe working on the right side. Whenever this right around, I believe, down over here, would put on a vertical spread in options. And those are the issues that wanted to look at. And I think that's all for now. And then let's take a look at BLTE did fall a little bit today, fell below the 30. I may sell the rest of my holdings. Can always come back if it turns around. But yeah, we had this day where it sold off. Next day it came back, and today it's moving down again. Looked like we had an ugly shakeout over here, and it came back pretty strong. So until this yield matrix works its way out, I think I'd prefer to be in cash. So that's a look at what we're looking at today. Continue to keep an eye out. Hope everybody has a great week, and expect to see another show from us a little later. You have a great day.